Good afternoon, this is Charles Kelly, Money Tips. How are you doing today? This week in the UK, the Institute for Fiscal Studies, not Fiscal Studies, the IFS, in a report claims that 90% of workers are underfunding their retirement pension plans or schemes in order to retire comfortably. The Institute for Fiscal Studies is a body that works with the government here. And they are planning to put together a comprehensive review of pensions in the UK. Let's face it, things are in a mess at the moment. Successive governments have messed up pensions, going back to Gordon Brown, who started taxing schemes, changing the rules. Then we have Robert Maxwell, who ripped off the Daily Mirror pension fund, hundreds of millions, I think up to 500 million. He ripped out of the pension fund and gambled it, trying to save his own businesses which were going under, and from then the government started bringing in stricter rules on these defined benefit company pension schemes. I'll explain a bit more about that in a second. And they've just, since then, most companies have pulled out of that market, and we're now into a different type of pension scheme which is not as good as the old final salary defined pension schemes. And now the market is so complicated that most people don't understand it. Most people say, oh, pensions, I can't be bothered. I'll just do a buy-to-let or something. So look, I know pensions can be a bit boring, but if you want to retire financially free, if you want to retire comfortably and not have to sit there wondering whether you're going to heat or eat, then stick with me, because I've got some help for you coming, because it is important. I don't care if you're young or old, you've got to think about this. Especially if you're young and not funding your scheme, as most people are not, according to this study. But the recent study revealed that 60% of middle earning private sector employees, middle of the range, 30, 40,000 private sector employees who are contributed to a pension are saving less than 8% of their earnings, and nearly 90% of people in this bracket are saving less than the 15% of earnings recommended by Lord Turner's Pension Commission. So they're recommending that you should save 15% of your salary into the pension scheme in order to retire comfortably. And this is if you're starting off with, say, 35, 40 years to go to retirement. So if you started off in your early 20s, you should be putting in 15% of your salary into your retirement pot, right? But 90% of people are not doing that. And these are middle earners. These are not the low earners, by the way. I mean, I think if you're looking at low earners, you're probably looking at a much higher percentage are not saving enough. Because obviously when you're on a low income, most of your money is going on your living costs and that sort of thing. So you've got less money to save. But it's still important to think about this. Now, the report has also highlighted this problem of that almost all of the savings is coming in a form. All the pension schemes now are what's called a defined contribution scheme rather than a defined benefit pension scheme. And this means that with a defined contribution, your eventual pension benefit will depend on how much money you've got in the pot and how much it's grown by according to the fund managers of the markets. With a defined benefit pension scheme or a final salary, your pension scheme is much more geared towards a percentage of your final earnings. And at the moment, virtually all of the private companies running pension schemes are not running defined benefit final salary schemes anymore. This goes back to what I was saying of all the government changes, the new legislation, the new guarantees required, and the Robert Maxwell scandal. If that name rings a bell, Robert Maxwell is the father of Ghislaine Maxwell, who's now in jail for acting as Epstein's pimp in America. You know this scandal, Ghislaine Maxwell, that's Robert Maxwell's daughter. So these defined contribution schemes are what most people are putting their money into, unless you work for the government, civil service, local authority, NHS, police, MPs, fire service, teachers. They've all got defined benefit final salary schemes, which are much more beneficial and more guaranteed than the defined contribution. Okay, I think I've explained that. I think I've explained this before as well. So what they're saying is most people now are in these schemes where they're at risk of market changes. They're also exposed to risks that might be difficult to manage, like how much should they putting in? Where should their funds be going? Which funds should they be invested into within the pension scheme? So there's a lot of problems there, and they said they're warning people retiring with defined contribution pots face considerable difficulty in managing their finances through retirement, and so on. Now, you might think, well, how much money do I need to retire? Well, look, if you've got a pot of, say, £100,000, how much pension do you think that's going to give you? Because what you do with that £100,000 generally is you put it into an annuity that gives you a guaranteed pension income for life. How much would £100,000 give you? Well, at current interest rates, which have gone up, of course, in the last year, you'd only get around £4,000 to £5,000 from that £100,000 pot. And so if you're age 65, a male, around £4,000 to £5,000. So that's not a lot. So if you think, you'd need something like £500,000 just to get 20,000 a year out of that pension scheme. £1 million would give you 40,000 a year from that pension scheme. Now, most people are probably not going to save anywhere near £1 million. They'll be lucky if they get a few £100,000 together by saving, 8% of their salary. But so you've got to think about this. You should do something about this, because if you're putting money into a pension scheme, it's like free money, because you're not paying tax on that money. So it comes off of your taxable income. You get tax relief on it, and in an employer situation, the employer is putting that contribution in there for you. So it's a must to do it. Now, if you're self-employed, then you're not getting this employer scheme. You're not getting any employer contribution, obviously. So you're rowing your own boat. Now, many self-employed people used to say to me when I was a financial advisor, don't worry, I've got my business. My business will be my pension. And when I retire, I will sell this business and retire comfortably to the Caribbean, living on an island. But it hardly ever works out. Unless your business is substantial and it's growing and it's got legs and it's saleable without you being in the business, then forget about all that. It's not going to happen. Even if you've got a thriving business, you should be putting something aside, like there's pots of money I've talked about. Some of your money should be going into a savings pot or a pension pot to give you a comfortable retirement, because you never know what your business is going to do for you in retirement. Many people we know have gone into buy-to-lets. Of course, that's another area that people have gone into, but that still involves your risk, your work, and so on. Now, the report also said that people approaching retirement are facing a lot of problems, because a lot of these defined benefit schemes have been phased out now. People who are on them now tend to be the baby boomer age, but the younger people are not going to be in these type of schemes unless they work for the government. So we're going to see a lot of people living in poverty in retirement, low standards of living, and dependent on benefits. Now, a lot of people will say, well, I'll let the government look after me. But if you've got savings, if you're in the middle, the government are not going to look after you. If you're really at the rock bottom, then yes, the government do give you that certain safety net. But the state pension now is only £10,000 a year. Ask yourself, can you live on £10,000 a year? And just to get £10,000 a year, you need a lot of money in your pension pot, right? You'd need something like £200,000 in your pension pot just to give you £10,000 a year. So maybe a bit more, maybe something like $250,000 to give you £10,000 a year. Now, you get the state pension, everyone was going to get that, but that's been pushed back. Most people now retiring will have to wait till they're 67. It will eventually go to 68. The IFS recommends it should go to 70. So a lot of people are going to be working in retirement. That's fine if you're doing an office admin based job, but if you're doing a physical job, if you're a roofer or you're a carpet layer or a bricklayer, maybe you just, your hands are worn out, your body's worn out, your knees are worn out. You can't do this job until you're 65 and 70. You're not to the same standards as a younger person could. So look, what I want to give you is 7 steps to retire financially free. Now, of course, this is when you hear these steps, you're going, oh, not those again. Don't tell me I have to do some work. Don't tell me I have to save. Don't tell me I have to sacrifice and wait a long time. Sorry if I can't give you some silver bullet scheme that's going to just do it all for you now. Sorry if I can't give you a solution like put your money in this unknown crypto coin and this will go up by 10,000% in the next year. Sorry, I haven't got that. I'm going to give you the ways to do it, like, you know, saving money, right? I have to tell you honestly, this is the way you're going to do it, right? And unless you're some brilliant Steve Jobs entrepreneur, Elon Musk, yeah, then you don't have to worry. But most of us are not in that position. Look, 7 tips for you, right? Let's kick off with those. Right, first of all is to start saving early. This is an obvious one. Every 5 years you wait to start saving into your pension means you'll probably have to double the amount you're putting in each month. So in other words, if you said, I've got £100 a month to save now, this will give me X amount at retirement. If you wait 5 more years, you'd need to save £200,000 to get the same amount. If you imagine a graph and you've got this graph of between here and 65, and this is your target that you want to reach. Obviously from way back here, it's a smooth ride up, isn't it? It's just a steady climb, like you could ride a bike up there very easily. But the closer you get into it and near to 65, you've got a steeper climb. That means you've got to save more. I hope that makes sense. I'll try and put it up in a graph, but I hope that does make sense. Look, start saving early. You can use the tax advantage retirement accounts. Most countries have them to maximize your savings potential. If you get into the habit of it, if you get into forgetting about that money, it will work for you. Second is live below your means. Oh no, I have to live below my means. No, I don't want to do that. I like spending money. I like putting everything on my credit card. I like blowing my money. Let's forget about everything else. Retirement will come when I retire. You know, I don't have to worry about that. I'm only 25, don't worry about it. No, sorry. If you want to retire early, you've got to live a modest lifestyle within your means at least. Avoid overspending on necessary items. Create a budget and stick to it. This is the sort of stuff I'm going through on my course, by the way, my Smart Money course. But look, you've got to be realistic here. You know, don't rely on lottery tickets. You've got to really knuckle down here and start thinking about this. Number 3 is to invest wisely. This means not leaving your money in the bank or under the mattress, but invest in assets really. This means putting your money into a diverse portfolio of stocks, bonds, maybe property, but you've got to invest wisely into things that will, within your risk profile, give you the results you need. The stock market has grown. I mean, it can go up or down. It can change at a whim. But over the last 100 years, the stock market has grown steadily, as has property as well. These are assets you're investing in. Now, you obviously need financial advice on this. See a financial advisor if you're not sure what to do. Number 4 is maximizing your income. Consider ways to increase your income. If you can't live within your means or below your means, increase the means, right? Look for ways to maybe take a side job, have a side hustle, maybe an online business. Talk to me if you're not sure about how to do that. So look for ways, or just seek a higher paying job. Number 5 is to pay off debt, right? Get rid of that consumer debt, that credit card debt. This is an obvious no-brainer. That sucks money out of your pocket. Number 6 is to plan for healthcare costs. These can be expensive. You know, think about that. Think about times when you might not be so healthy. Maybe look at saving for long-term care insurance, but do think about the health risks in your life. Number 7 is to have a retirement plan. Develop a plan. I'm not talking about a policy now or a pension policy, but develop a plan as to how you're going to meet your goals, and then review those goals regularly. I'd say also, I'd probably add to that is don't risk your money on foolish things, on foolish ventures, because that can really set you back years. Just be careful of how you invest your money. If it looks too good to be true, it probably is. Just invest wisely, I think. And I think another thing I'll just add as an overall thing is to find the right partner in your life. Divorce and breakups of marriage can be very, very expensive. It can really set you back years. It can really losing your house and starting all over again, maybe in your 40s or 50s, is not great news for you. Okay, so look, millions of people have lost faith in the complex and so complicated, muddled pension scheme, preferring to do their own thing by maybe putting their money into buy-to-lets. But the government are making that more difficult, or they start to trade on stocks and day trade and that sort of. Some of these things have high risk, But look, whilst this can work for you, ignoring the benefits of having a pension scheme is not a good idea. I know many successful business people that have retired comfortably, but they could have done a lot better if, when they had the money, if they just put a few £100s a month into a pension scheme and forgotten about it and just let it grow. So I wouldn't recommend doing that. So look, if you need any help with your money, I'm running, we're living in challenging times obviously, but you've got to keep going. You've got to keep on the positive side. And I want to show you how you can become financially free in your retirement. I want to show you how you can build wealth over time, not get rich quick schemes. And I'm running a free training webinar. I'll put the details up in the link there. It will be on a Wednesday night, maybe not this Wednesday, the Wednesday after, depending on when you're looking at this. But I want to invite you to that for free. It'll be about an hour, and I'll give you lots of good content on how you can implement some of the things we've talked about here and build real wealth for yourself. So thanks very much for listening, and I will speak to you again in the next video. This is Charles Kelly, Money Tips. Join me on that free webinar, and I'll see you soon.